Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We ran the cut hub miter saw stand for 6 weeks on our job site. And here's the straight truth. What we loved, what we didn't, and whether or not it's worth your hard-earned money. So the cut hub is essentially a full-on pro-grade workstation system. It's designed for serious builders who want speed, accuracy, efficiency on their job sites. Now, while most miter saw stands range from basic fold-out sawhorses and multi-tiered setups with extension arms, the cut hub is a category all of its own. And at its core, it's for people who are tired of wrestling around with homemade solutions and making do with gear that wasn't built for this kind of precision or versatility in their work demands. It's robust, right? So each workstation table is about 40 pounds. It's made from high-grade aluminum, extruded aluminum, and it feels solid and rugged enough that you can put it through its paces, but it's refined enough that you can do finish trim with it. Cut Hub claims that the system saves contractors 5 hours a week by improving efficiency. I'm guessing that they do this. They're thinking that setup, probably with their repetitive cut setup, and also maybe allowing one man to do long boards and things like that. I think that's where they're thinking where it saves all this time. The system, I call it one system, many saws, right? So Cut Hub ships with a universal mounting kit, right, for the saw. It works with almost every portable saw that's on the market. There's also an installation video on YouTube, and it eliminates the instruction manual, which I really liked. I just watched the video a couple times, paused it, put the whole thing together. If your miter saw has a deck height of about 4.25 or less, then you're good to go. And it covers most brand models, name brand models. The table saw mount is adjustable and fits about 90% of the portable table saws, assuming they can fit on a 26 by 19 inch mounting plate. Another option is to use your existing table saw and legs and just butt it up to the end of the Cut Hub system and adjust the Cut Hub workstation to match. As far as setup and stuff, we were super impressed with how incredibly fast it is to set up. About 5 minutes. And, it's probably one of the most mobile systems that we've worked with. It's light enough to move and reconfigure quickly, but it doesn't sacrifice any toughness, trust me. The legs fold out and lock into place, spring-loaded pins. Each leg is individually adjustable for height on your workstation and can compensate for uneven ground. Awesome. The height can be adjusted between 32 and 38 inches, and each Cut Hub leg can go 6 to 8 inches, ensuring you can really set up on some steep grades. So as I mentioned earlier, there's these telescoping poles or rods that come out of the tables, and they connect. The tables can connect together with them. So these integrated telescoping poles and spring-loaded pins, they just slide out and connect one table to the next. The miter saw fits between two tables. The table saw and the miter saw both get mounted permanently with bolts to mounting plates. And that might be a drawback for some guys, but if you're using the system, it shouldn't be. The miter saw plate mounts onto the rails between those two tables I mentioned, and it clamps into place. Table saw mounting, once you set up, it has these legs with kind of cross diagonals. You have to set up and adjust it for wherever you are. It's just as easy. You just literally drop into slots that are set on legs, and the legs attach to the end of one of the tables. Once set up, you can place long, heavy boards on the table and not worry about outriggers and folding or collapsing on you and stuff like that. You can really set long stuff up, heavy-duty stuff. Cutting stair stringers with a Cut Hub, super easy. It was a breeze. Just slide along. I made all my angle cuts, flipped it, did the other side. One issue a fellow contractor experienced when breaking down the Cut Hub was that his miter saw was back heavy. You might have been using the Makita, the slide, the rear slide. When he unclipped it, his guy didn't realize it, and the saw just flipped backwards and over and landed on the ground. It can be something to be mindful of if you're using a rear heavy saw. We use a Milwaukee 10-inch cordless saw, and that is back heavy as well, so you do have to be careful. The Cut Hub comes with these shipping boxes, and they double as storage because they have carpet lining on the bottom, and they're designed to be like placed in your truck or van or trailer and screwed together, and you can slide these tables once folded right inside, nice and organized, protected. Unfortunately, it didn't work for our vans. We have modular shelving that we paid and installed, and we couldn't use those storage boxes. So Instead, we opted to mount the tables vertically. We just put them in vertically. And we had a side box on our side door of the Sprinter. We modified that, and they just all stack and strap in place. It worked out pretty good. As far as using the system, one of Cut Hub's standout features is its integrated measuring system. They call it a bump stop. Once you've set up the saw and made your tables and your saw accurate to the tape measure on the table, you can make repeatable cuts accurately and quickly without touching a tape measure. The stop locks in place with these cam-style levers. They are secure, super easy to use. I call it simple stupid. Large, easy to read dial. Center of the bump stop lets you read the tape measure on the table. And it really does. It works. Once you take the time set, it's awesome. The miter saw table mounts on those two rails I mentioned between the tables. So you need a quick calibration or zero that out to align to your table built-in measurements. And once you figure out how you do that, it's fast. To zero it out, basically, I just lock the blade down, right? Cam lock it down. I loosen it a little bit. I lock my bump stop, say at 20 inches, and I just use a tape measure to make sure the blade is 20 inches from the bump stop. Done. And then once everything's locked it back in place, I know that when I move my bump stop, I have accurate measurements. It's good for repeated setups. We actually put little black marker marks on our telescoping rods so that we can get it kind of close to the zeroing process and eliminate a lot of the back and forth. The bump stop also has an extension that's approximately 10 inches long, so you can cover the gap between the table and the miter saw table. And that's good because your tables might be spread out a little bit because of the miter saw, and you've got to cover that space. To use the extension stop, you basically just subtract 10 inches from the measurement on the side of the glass on your bump stop. It's that simple. Now, while this might sound silly, the tabletop also takes pencil marks well. I found this out when I was making a bunch of cuts, graduated cuts on a gable end. Cleaning off those pencil marks, you can use an eraser, it works great. We also had pine sap and stuff too, but cleaning that stuff off, the pine sap, the pencil marks, I tried it with PVC cleaner, goof off, and acetone. It all worked great. Water, you got to rub really hard. If you're one of those guys who does field modifications for your stuff, right? Well, Cut Hub allows for that too. You can drill your own holes to kind of create your own preferred table spacing or mounting points. Something you might find necessary if you're setting up your table in an area where maybe the telescoping rods don't clip or you're in between the telescoping rod springs. So just keep that in mind. You can actually drill your own hole, boom, got a clip, you're done. On our barn build that we were doing, we repeatedly were handing out and cutting 16-foot boards, right? 3/4 inches. They were heavy, floppy, long, 1-inch thick boards. I really liked how sturdy the table did with held everything with 16-foot boards. I would just get it onto the table, pivot it, get it down, slide it, and I was able to just one hand, one person. I don't need someone to hold the other end of the 16-footer. I'm not worried about my outrigger folding or my whole miter saw stand flipping over or whatever. Like, things have happened like that before, right? I mean, we all admit it. We've come up with jerry-rigged things all the time. No problem with the cut up. Super sturdy, 16-foot boards. At one point, I had 2 tables set up, and I was cutting heavy 16-foot 2x material. No problem. I think for me, I mean, the best thing was once I had it on the table, I just could slide it any way I want, and it was just nice. That's all I'm going to say. No more rocking, swaying, stitches. All right, let's move on. That truly is, I think, where Cut Hub, shines. It's so stable, guys. We also tested the Cut Hub on a deck build. We were cutting 20-foot decking boards and PVC trim, 18-foot long PVC AZEK boards, 1x12s, extremely spaghetti-like, right? Sloppy, floppy. I was extremely pleased with the setup. Look, after years of wrestling with roller stands and gravity rise units and tipping over, the Cut Hub tables, they're just a game changer on this stuff. So enough on that. I've talked too much on that, but that's, I think, the best part of it. As far as, testing the layouts of the Cut Hub. So we went with a linear layout, right? So 2 tables to the left, 1 table to the right, miter saw between 2 of those tables, and we handled 12 and 16-foot boards with these. However, we immediately encountered a securing issue. And I mentioned this earlier when I talked about field modifications, when we're setting things up. The tables are designed to be indexed with those pop-in spring-loaded pins. And the cross tubes they lock in. Due to limited floor space, we were, on one of our tables, we were kind of in between. So this led to a problem when using the bump stop on that outer table, making long repeated cuts. Every time you hit it or something, it could potentially move the table a little bit that it was mounted to. The bump stop never moved. The table moved on the telescoping rods. So first and fastest solution, drill new hole, punch it in, be done with it. We found that it was about 6 cuts that we noticed the bump stop would move a little bit, and that would result in inaccurate cuts. So one way to fix this would be to drill your own holes. The other is that CutHub has these cam levers that you can cam down and lock the tubes with, and we had them on another side of the table. Switch them over, lock them down. Beautiful. You can also buy additional cam levers as an accessory as well. So solution solved. I think moving forward, I would probably put cam levers on everything because I just want to be able to move quick. And if I had to, I guess I would drill additional pin holes for the pin push holes. Another challenge that we noticed was there's a slight racking. So again, we're going, about 6 feet with the rods extended. It's even longer. We had a slight racking of the system with the multiple tables extension when we were going in the same direction. So if the tables were bumped during use, and this is common, busy job site, super smooth concrete floors, it could cause the miter saw back fence to fall out of square with the bump stop, right? A little bit. I mean, I'm talking if you're really paying attention and being anal about it. The system is long and allows for flex, and the outer tables can shift several inches sometimes if you're not careful. So it's something to be aware of. It's not an end game, end all, or a hard stop for me. Our solution was to just recheck alignment periodically. I actually just put little tick marks on the floor with pencil because I could do that, or blue tape or anything, and I just would periodically check those and make sure that we were okay. The system comes included with these black plastic outriggers, 2 sets, and they attach to the sides of the tables. They just drop an index in, and you can screw 2x10s and 2x12s to them, even plywood built up if you wanted. It is excellent. It basically transforms that CutHub table into like an outrigger with side tables, like a large work table, an assembly surface. We found it super useful for ripping plywood solo. So now the CutHub goes from here to here, almost the width of a sheet of plywood, and you can just rip it, no problem. It was good for when we were cutting on the table so you can keep your off cuts or your rips accessible. It just creates a clean and organized work table as well. One note, you'll either need to store that 2x4 material for those outriggers with the arms attached, or you're going to unscrew them each time. Something to plan for if space is limited in your truck, trailer, van, whatever. We're going to probably have to unscrew them in our Sprinter van. Kind of an annoyance, but we might not set them up all the time. So something to think about as well. All right, so you're asking, what's the cost, right? Everybody's always asking, how much does this thing cost? So I'm going to be upfront with you. CutHub isn't cheap. Packages start around $2,000 and they can easily exceed up to $6,000 depending on how you customize this thing. Now, here's the thing. In my opinion, this is an investment. You have to have a mindset of a business owner or a boss. You can't be this guy with a pickup truck that just does work. You have to think, I'm in this to make money. This is a business for me. If you spent years of piecing together makeshift workstations or constantly tweaking mid-range stands or make it work stuff, then this is an upgrade that you've been looking for. And the best part, you can purchase it in stages. And that's how a lot of these guys that I talk to have been doing it. You can buy a table, you just piecemeal it. I know 2 contractors who bought the CutHub. They both told me that they hesitated and waited a long time before buying it because of the cost. They both said, in hindsight, they both agreed they should have bought it sooner. So why aren't prices listed up front? That's a good point. I hear people tell that too, or ask that question. CutHub does that for 2 reasons. First of all, every CutHub order is custom. So you can order packages, but you can customize it. So with so many variations, it's almost impossible to provide a kind of a one-size-fit-all price. So I suppose you could just list a bunch of things. Secondly, the company wants to talk to you directly. They want to help you find the perfect setup and answer questions and build trust, because the price scares people. So they want to be able to tell you why this is good. To me, it's a refreshing approach, especially when you're making a serious investment in your business. You want people to ask questions and bounce things through. So here's how I see this whole thing. The cut hub system it's designed to last 10 plus years, right? If you take care of decades, but let's just say 10 years to simplify it. And let's say that you invest $5,000 in a cut hub system. Over 10 years, you amortize that. That's $42 a month. As a business owner, we need to think of like investors, putting money towards our tools into our business to help us grow, succeed, and make money. Not futzing around with a make-do Midas station. Okay, talked about price, got that out of the way. I want to talk about a few areas of improvement because there were some things that I wasn't psyched about. While the system is extremely well thought out, we'd love to see the cam levers pre-installed, not just over here. We'd like to see them on all the stations. And that would save just a bit of setup time and things when you're in between those pinholes I talked about. Regarding the table saw height setup, we'd love to see the Allen nuts that they use offered in maybe like 1/8 indexes or something. Out of all the adjustments on the cut hub required to set up that station, the adjustment for the table saw is the most finicky and one that I was not liking at all. I would love to see indexing or something like that. We experienced table saw movement. The table saw platform slides left to right, and it can actually tip over when ripping a sheet of plywood alone. We'd love to see cut hub add some sort of clevis pin or clamp or pin or something to lock that in place so that doesn't happen. We saw this issue and we used a pistol grip to solve come up with a solution. Done. I'm not going to cry over it. It's an amazing setup. Pistol grip solves the problem, and maybe cut hub will do something. The telescoping tubes, kind of like visibility, seeing them, the push buttons, when you're trying to slide them and lock them in place, sometimes it can be hard to locate. Our solution was to just do a black marker, either before or after or at it, and then you can look for the black marker, rotate around, and boop, there you go. You're in position. Storage. It's bulky to store, guys. Not going to lie. Those boxes take up a lot of space. Vertical takes up space. Between the saw mounts, the outrigger wings, the tables, the cut hub system, the bump stop, it can be bulky to store. We could not use those storage boxes, like I said, because they took up too much valuable space in front of our shelving that we paid a lot of money for. So those shelving was an investment. We want to use it. So like I said, we went vertically in our Sprinter van on the side door for better access. Lastly, I'm not sure if this is possible, but I'd love to see an accessory maybe that offered like a backstop or a fence to kind of help better index and align the miter saw back fence to the table. This would be awesome for upside down and backwards crown and some stuff like that. So I'm not sure how they would do it. I haven't figured that one out yet, but it would be cool. I will say that I reached out to Cut Hub after my review with my feedback, and they said that they found it funny how we hit all the things that they are already working on, all the pain points from users, like the cam levers, the table saw height adjustment, the platform sliding. They received similar feedback and are actively looking for solutions, and I believe them. They're also considering ways to improve the visibility of the telescoping tube and button storage. One thing they hadn't thought about was the coloring the pins or doing the black marker that I talked about. So they're going to explore making that more visible next time for users. Look, as a tool reviewer, it's great to see a company that actively listens and works on feedback, and it shows that they care about their product. And it just made me feel really nice and almost appreciated for my review when they said, "That's a good idea. We're gonna do that, or we're gonna think about that. It's a really good idea." So, my final thoughts on this whole thing. I do want to note that we found that Joe, he's Cut Hub's operations and client interface manager. He was my contact person. He was great to work with, super responsive, and answered all of my questions thoroughly. But the two guys that I told you that bought the system, they said the same thing about Joe. So it's a real deal. He wasn't just being nice because I'm a tool reviewer. The Cut Hub is not for weekend warriors or casual DIYers. It could be for a workshop. You're going to spend some money for it. It's for pros. It's for pros who are serious about working faster, cleaner, and more accurate. From daily setups to repeatable cuts, this system delivered for me. And if you're ready to stop fussing around with gear that's almost good enough, and you want something built to last 10 plus years, Cut Hub is absolutely worth you taking a look at, and it's worth the investment. I appreciate you guys watching. hit like, subscribe, drop a comment. I always read your comments. I will say big changes coming with our head-to-heads that we're doing, our tool reviews, our tool comparisons, as we launch the Tool Lab, which is our new name for our crew that's doing these head-to-head comparisons. So stay tuned. Take care.